I pulled some beef shanks the other night and made osso buco. I have beef shank, which I seasoned with salt and pepper, and I have my Dutch oven heating up with just a little bit of oil in the bottom. We're gonna sear these off. We're going to add a mirepoix, which is 2 parts onion, 1 part carrot and celery. Season with salt and pepper. Add 3 cloves of garlic finely minced and 2 cups of diced canned tomatoes. Normally I deglaze with white wine, but I have none in the house, so I'm just adding beef stock to cover, bringing it to a simmer. We're adding a couple bay leaves. We're going to get the top on and simmer for 2.5 to 3 hours. I'm also adding 3 of these small beef bouillons and about a tablespoon of this gravy master. The osso buco is fork tender, and there's quite a bit of sauce still left, so I think I'm going to add about 1.5 cups of this pasta instead of doing risotto, and it can just cook right in the pot with it. And this is the crown jewel for the osso buco. I have some parsley, a couple cloves of garlic that I grated on the microplane, the zest of a couple of lemons, and then I'm just going to add the juice of a lemon. This is called a gremolata, I think they call it. And this is just going to add so much brightness to the osso buco. You go ahead and serve your plate, and then you just sprinkle this on top. It's delicious. And then I just went ahead and served up some of the osso buco. Like I said, normally I make a risotto, but I wanted to just make it a little simpler today and use some of that pasta. And then just put some of this on here, and it's just going to add so much brightness to the dish. Oh, here is my bowl, and that meat is just fork tender. There's bone marrow in the bone, and that pasta worked out pretty good. I had a little bit of it already, but it's delish. Don't skip the parsley and the garlic and the lemon, because it is like the finishing touch. It's like having a hot fudge sundae with no hot fudge. You gotta have it. It makes the dish. Tonight we're gonna have a barbecue in the middle of a winter advisory. In my iron skillet, I cooked up 1 pound of bacon until it was almost crisp. I'm adding a large onion, and we're gonna cook it until the onion gets soft. I'm adding about 2/3 cup of a brown sugar, and what you want to do is just let the brown sugar combine with the bacon fat and almost make like a caramel sauce. Cook it for several minutes, and this is the key ingredient and technique for making these baked beans awesome. After cooking for several minutes, I doctor up the beans with some ketchup, some barbecue sauce, and just a touch of mustard. I'll put the measurements in the description box below. I'm going to be adding 1 gallon of pork and beans. Place the iron skillet in a preheated 350-degree oven for 30 to 40 minutes. We baked the baked beans and they are looking fantastic. These are some ribs that Ken had barbecued a while back. They're frozen, so I'm going to put them in a 350-degree oven and start warming them through, and then we'll start basting them with some barbecue sauce. We have the pasta salad with the deviled eggs. We have the barbecue ribs. Also have some corn that I put up last summer. It was grown by our neighbor who's a farmer, that I cooked in some garlic butter, and it tastes like summer. Oh. And it's funny, out of all the things that I make, whenever I go to a potluck, everybody wants me to bring the baked beans. They're good. I had one of these apple pie fillings in the freezer. I took it out. I have my big 13 by 9 inch pan. Sprayed it with cooking spray. We're gonna dump this in there. This has all the cinnamon and sugar. I have a yellow cake mix I had in my pantry. I'm just going to make it per the instructions on the box. Pour the cake mix right on over the apples, and we're going to take this to a 350-degree oven and cook it until the cake is cooked through. We're serving some ice cream on top of the apple cake. It may not be the prettiest one out there as far as desserts go, but it sure tastes good. We're making vodka penne pasta with a nice salad. I had the sauce in the freezer. I made several of them and froze them. And so dinner is going to be lickety split tonight. Tonight we're going to take one of the freezer meals and use it to have dinner. This is a vodka penne pasta cream sauce. All I need to do is heat the package, add a cup of grated Parmesan, and cook a pound of penne pasta. And the main course will be done. I heated up the sauce. Now we're just going to add a cup of Parmesan. Mix it in together. I drained my pasta. I have a pound of penne pasta, rigati. We're adding that to the pot. We just want to mix this together. And then I'm going to cover it with saran wrap and let it set for 10 minutes so that the pasta can absorb some of the sauce. Cover the dish with a plastic wrap and just let it sit for, like I said, 10 minutes. See how the sauce gets absorbed and it thickens it up, and it's nice and creamy at the same time. I'm serving the pasta with just a green salad and Italian dressing. Here is my plate. I'm just going to add some Parmesan cheese to the top and give that a try. That's so good. It's my kids' favorite pasta dish that I make. And I thought that I had done a cook with me on this before. Apparently I haven't. So next time I make this, I'll do a full tutorial. Another meal that I made was chicken pot pie, and it's loosely based on Ina Garten's recipe. It's a great recipe. I cooked up a whole chicken and made some homemade chicken stock. I prepared some chicken pot pies, some for the freezer and a couple for dinner tonight. I've been boiling the bones and some backs and wing tips that I had in the freezer, making some homemade chicken stock. I'm sauteing a couple of large onions in some butter with salt and pepper. These onions are looking fantastic. I have some thyme, probably a good teaspoon, and I'm adding 2 cups of diced carrots. I cooked off a small chicken, and here's all the meat that I cleaned off of the bones and chopped it into bite-sized pieces. I'm adding 3/4 of a cup of flour. We're going to cook this for a couple of minutes. All right, we're going to add about 4 cups of the stock to begin with, see how we do. Might need to add another cup or two. I am adding an extra cup, so that's a total of 5 cups of stock. I'm adding a cup of frozen peas, about half a cup of heavy cream. We'll just eyeball it. I'm testing for seasoning and it is delicious. I'm using these super cube molds. I love these, 2-cup capacity, and we're just going to fill 4 of them, put them in the freezer, and then bake off 2 of them for Ken and I for dinner. I just put the top with a little piece of pie crust, and we'll just go ahead and put a little egg wash on this. I have the oven at 400. We just made a little design because we had some scraps of dough left. All right, let's bake these off in the oven. This looks fantastic. We're gonna let it cool for a few minutes before we dive in. This is definitely comfort food at its finest. And I'm so thrilled to have 4 more in the freezer for a future meal. As a bonus, we got 3 quarts of a really great chicken stock. This is a package of Salisbury steak with mushroom gravy. I'm going to heat this up. In addition to the Salisbury steak that I had in the freezer that I just have to warm up, I found this box of mashed potato flakes in the pantry, and we're going to use this. Get rid of that. We're cleaning it out. Well, that's our Salisbury steak. I was so thankful to use that up out of the freezer. I paired it with a little bit of broccoli and used those mashed potatoes and doctored them up with some cream and butter. We'll just heat it up in the microwave and dinner is served. I prepped some sliced onions, poblano peppers, and regular red bell peppers. I also have flank steak from the freezer. I cut it into thin slices across the grain. I found this bottle of mojo marinade in the pantry. We're just going to add it to the meat and let it marinate for a few hours. Later that evening, I sauteed the onions in my iron skillet with a little bit of oil, salt, and pepper. Once the onions became soft, I added the peppers to the pan. In the same pan, I added a little more oil and fried up the meat. It smells amazing. Didn't take too long, and the meat was so tender because of the marinade. Meanwhile, I set up a station with sour cream, guacamole, shredded lettuce, the cooked onions and peppers, some shredded cheese, and hot sauce. These burritos were fantastic, and they used up the flank steak I had in the freezer and that marinade. Finally, I made pasta fagioli with homemade bread. If you want me to show you how to make this, let me know in the comment section. That is a week of Pantry Challenge dinners.